This is a Kirkendall Barrett presentation, darling.
Dad is dead. There is a dog.
You bought strawberries. Who do you think you are?
You buy homemade bread?
What are you, QAnon?
What makes him happy?
Not being in this movie?
Not being in this movie.
A lifetime of Hallmark.
Well, hello, everybody. It is your favorite day of the week. It is time for another episode of A Lifetime of Hallmark, where we talk about your favorite movies on Lifetime and the Hallmark Channel and try to make sense of them. I am Les Kirkendall Barrett. Hello, Jason Bowers.
Hello, Les Kirkendall Barrett.
And hello, Kurt Fitzpatrick.
Hello, Les Kirkendall Barrett, and hello, Jason Bowers.
So if I'm sounding a little whispery, I am actually currently in Nova Scotia doing my show, The Real Black Swan, at Halifax Fringe. And so I am literally in the theater doing this podcast. And so there's shows happening right now. I'm actually in the lobby. And so it's kind of funny because there's a bartender there and I'm like, just so you know, I'm not talking to myself. I'm doing a podcast.
I just heard a bottle clink.
Yeah. Right.
But that also explains why you're wearing the mask then. You're in an area with other people.
Yes. And here in Halifax, they are playing safely. Here at the Fringe, they're playing by the rules. Everybody's got to be masked. Thank God. Because I've been on tour since like July. And every place that I went, shows were dropping like flies because of COVID exposure.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
So I'm happy here. They are actually making us mask up. Well, gentlemen, it's been a month.
It has been a minute. We've all had stuff going on in our lives, and we should probably say up front that this isn't going to be a normal full episode where we talk about movies from Lifetime and the Hallmark Channel. Because of all this stuff going on in our lives, we thought let's do something light and fun and short.
Yes.
It's been a rough year for the cast of A Lifetime of Hallmark, but we're here for our audience.
Yeah. Right.
We're here to entertain you and entertain ourselves.
And so we are talking if you're a listener to this podcast, if you're a long-term listener, you know how we love Jackee. We love Jackee. And so we've discussed we've discussed on past episodes that Jackee actually had her own show for a hot second. And it was a spinoff of 227 and it was called Jackee, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is weird because it was a spinoff of a show where her character wasn't named Jackee. Her character was named Sandra.
And yes, and she played Sandra on the show.
It would be like if the show Frasier, instead of being called Frasier, if they named it Kelsey.
Right.
Yeah,
but
that wouldn't have worked.
Yeah.
But he's playing Frasier. Even though it's called Kelsey, he was still Frasier.
Yeah.
One of the many problems with the Jackee TV pilot.
Yes, but before we get into the TV pilot, Kurt, do you have any Blac Chyna news?
Doing a piece of China.
China.
I'm talking China.
The Blac Chyna Report. Here's Kurt Fitzpatrick.
Yes, well, this was all over the news. Now I am reading this from complex.com. So Blac Chyna is continuing to make bank on OnlyFans. According to research publisher Statista, the 34-year-old mother of two raked in $20 million per month in 2021, making her the top-earning creator on the platform. Chyna, who launched her OnlyFans in April 2020, charges a monthly subscription of $19.99, which gives users exclusive access to a mix of not safe for work photos and videos. If the numbers are correct, that
I would say that depends on your job.
Yes, so don't play it at work. All right, so that adds up to $240 million in 2021 alone. This figure heavily differs from what was reported during her ultimately unsuccessful court battle against the Kardashians earlier this year. TMZ reported in April that the case revealed Chyna's main moneymaker seems to be OnlyFans, of which she claims she's made $1 million adding that her income was $2 million in 2020, 2019, and 2018. The 34-year-old spoke about her decision to join the platform during a 2020 interview with Baller Alert, saying she was using the income to expand her career and support her family. I'm on OnlyFans so I can support the music because that stuff is not cheap at all, she said, getting studio time, engineers, wardrobe, marketing. I'm using all these different hustles to support that and my kids. That's the ultimate goal, to keep up their living of how they're living now. I don't want to be that parent where they have this now, then when they get older, they don't have it. I'm a single Black female supporting my kids. I don't get any child support, so I have all these things like Blac Chyna's Closet, the Dynasty Group, my music, the OnlyFans, Lash Cosmetics, promos that I do for other people, other companies that keep my household together. And that's it.
Well, okay, I gotta say, I can't be mad at Blac Chyna for this.
I still don't believe that figure. Somebody is lying here. Whether it's this site that claims that she made $20 million per month and $240 million last year, or it's Blac Chyna lying in court papers so she can get more money out of a custody suit or something. Somebody's lying here.
But Jason, I gotta tell you, I actually read a similar figure in other publications. So I think it has to be around there, don't you think?
That depends. If
custody,
one publication is printing that figure or publishing that figure and then everyone else runs with it, which is what happens a lot with these stories, then it becomes, what everyone believes is the truth. It isn't necessarily true.
I bet she does make over $1 million though.
Yeah,
like maybe not 20 million a month.
That's what I'm questioning. I'm questioning if she made 240. They're saying she made $250 million last year. That seems a little off.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah,
but I bet OnlyFans. Maybe if I could make $15 on there, I might be happy just with that.
But yeah, I bet she does make over $1 million though. That I believe. That I believe.
That gotta be worth $15. Who do you think is the number 2 and number 3 on this OnlyFans?
Okay. There's so many. Like Denise Richards.
Well, the number 2 a person I never even heard of. This is a Bella Thorne.
Okay.
I know who that is.
She makes $11 million per month. And then number 3 is Cardi B. They say she makes Cardi B. $9.34 million per month.
I love Cardi B so much.
Now, Bella Thorne's subscription is free, but she charges for exclusive content. Cardi B subscription is $4.99.
Right.
I tell you, I got it. We have to get in on this.
I know. I'm in the wrong.
I don't know what we're going to get out of it, but
I wonder though. I wonder how men do on OnlyFans.
Oh, there's plenty of men on there. They're all porn stars.
But I wonder if they do as well as the women. Is what I mean. Like financially.
I think it depends on the man, and I think it depends on your audience. It depends on what you're charging.
Right. But yeah, I mean, I definitely, I gotta respect China's game. I'm telling you.
I want a piece of China.
Right. Well, I guess for, a lot of people want a piece of China. That's why she's doing so well.
Like, if you're talking about like custody stuff, that would be like her ex-husband would be saying that she's making all that money. So I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Either he's saying it or she's downplaying the figure when reporting her earnings so that she can get money.
But remember when they said that she didn't have a bank account?
Right. And if she's making $240 million, she's got to be way out earning Rob Kardashian.
Oh, for sure.
Because Rob shuns the spotlight, unlike his sister, so he's not really making any money off the family name the way they are.
What do you mean she doesn't have a bank account? Where's the money? Where's she keeping the money? Like under a bed?
That's what they said in the trial. Remember, they said that she didn't have a bank account.
She's keeping it in an air mattress.
Yeah, I guess. And I'm sure that Rob, like Kris Jenner, is taking care of Rob for sure.
Yeah,
I'm sure of it.
Good. I'm glad everybody's doing well.
Right. I need to get an OnlyFans or something. Then Anyway, let's talk about this show, Jackee. So
But okay. So I have a confession. So well, first of all, I'm the one that suggested that we watch this as something short, even though I had suffered through this pilot a couple of months ago and told you all about it. So I watched it again, but because I was watching it again and I was like running late to record, I watched it on YouTube at 1 1/4 speed. And I will tell you that rule in comedy direction of faster is funnier is actually true. There were a couple moments in watching it this time where I actually laughed that I didn't find funny when I watched it the first time in normal speed.
Okay, and I will confess, there was a moment when I squealed out loud and was very happy. And I'm sure you two can guess when it was, and we'll get there. So
I will confess that I looked up every actor who's on the show, and I came up with surprising results.
Oh. Even Bernard. I was fascinated that the one guy's name was Bernard. B-N-A-R-D.
Yeah, Bernard Lewis. I wrote down all of the cast names because I assumed that we were going to discuss them all.
Yeah.
So
the information.
So okay. So do you want to once we as we go through it and the actors pop up, then do you want to give us the information?
Well, I can tell you right now. Generally, they are actors who kind of had their heyday, 80s, 90s, a little bit, and then they kind of tapered off. The biggest star on the show, of course, is her boss. He was Tyne Daly's husband in Cagney and Lacey.
Oh, I knew he looked familiar. Okay,
that is John Carlin. He passed away 2 years ago.
He went on to be Harvey. Because remember, did you ever watch Cagney and Lacey? And she'd always be like, Harvey.
I used to watch that, so I remembered him. And he was also in Dark Shadows. He was a regular on that show from 1967 or 67 to 71, it looks like. So he had a long career.
Yeah.
And just for context of the look and feel of this show, this pilot was made in 1989, which means it would have premiered that fall. So it was very late 80s, early 90s in terms of the fashion, in terms of the music, in terms of just the overall, the premise of the show even really is sort of tied to that time.
Yeah.
Right.
It aired on May 11th, 1989.
The premise, by the way, that they just went the friendship, they just went right into their friendship. There was no build up, there was no getting to know you.
I mean, that's a pilot. They basically need to have a reason to have Sandra getting along with other women, and they basically made this story is Sandra was kind of combative with Mary on 227. So here they're like, no, Sandra's the lead. She's got to be a little more likable. So now she's going to get along with some people.
So we start off, and I don't know why we start off in an Italian restaurant, but we start off in an Italian restaurant.
Well, that's her home.
Yeah, they fucked up the furniture delivery from her move from Washington D.C. to New York City,
and that's why her home looked like an Italian restaurant.
Yes.
Okay. So we start off with Sandra, and yes, Sandra has moved from Washington D.C. to New York. And they're talking about how they lost her luggage, and a hot repairman comes over, and Sandra
he's
tells
the moving
him
guy.
The moving guy. Yeah. And Sandra tells him that she moved to New York to work in the film industry. She was going to be a wardrobe person.
Yeah, at Midway Productions.
Right. And so she's talking, the mover's very cute. So then she does her Sandra,
Well, she also, she offered him, Kurt, I'm sure you picked up on this, to hit on him. She offered him a beverage, cookie, or pasta.
Right. Kurt, were you? Yeah. All that was missing.
I definitely would have stayed for that.
All that was missing for Kurt is cake. Hey, you want some cake?
I don't know how much I want to get. I went out with this woman one time, and I go to her home, and she's like, "I'm gonna go out. Do you want me to? I'm gonna get you some food. What would you like?" And I was like, I'll have some pasta, and I'll have some apple pie.
Oh, and did she get it?
She did.
Oh.
maybe some spaghetti and some apple pie. I mean, she was amused by this request, but I figured I could order whatever I wanted. So,
but hey, she did. Oh, so then Sandra's boss, so Sandra's boss / boyfriend comes
Not
over.
boyfriend. She made that clear it wasn't her boyfriend.
Oh, that's
no,
right.
Apparently, there's something going on there.
But that's right. She wasn't going to sleep with him. They were going to keep it above board.
Yeah,
I think they had though.
Because he started to get handsy, and she was like, "We gotta keep it professional."
It was a different time.
Now I must say, Jackee looked great.
yeah, of course she did.
So Jackee is on my favorite show, Days of Our Lives, where she plays the fabulous Paulina Price, whose husband is running for governor, so she's going to be the first lady of Salem. And so I see Jackee on my television every day, and I forgot that she was actually young. She was very young.
Well, this was 33 years ago, Les.
True. Okay. True.
Yeah.
True.
But she was like the hot, the hot bombshell on 227. That was her whole character.
Right. And before 227, she was Lily on Another World. And I actually went back and watched some Another World clips when she was on there, and she was like, quite the catch. Oh, so anyway, we find out that her movie company that she's going to work for is actually a porn company.
Because the moving guy recognized the owner of the porn company and starts rattling off titles and knows their entire catalog of movies.
Right.
Well, we're going to revisit this because there is an actress in this show who had that kind of career.
Oh,
What?
After doing this pilot.
okay.
After the
pilot.
Huh. Oh,
okay.
I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued.
Okay.
So
I'll let you know when she arrives.
So then our next scene, we see the tough talking neighbor, and she's in the lobby of the building, and we see
there's a Cub Scout. There's a Cub Scout.
Yep.
I did IMDb this Cub Scout.
Okay, so the Cub Scout walks in first. Tell us about the Cub Scout. Where is the Cub Scout today?
He appeared on 32 episodes of Small Wonder.
Oh, another show. Did you guys watch Small Wonder?
I loved Small Wonder, and it's a terrible show.
She's fantastic, made of plastic.
That paid his way through a state college. I can tell you that if he lived in state.
I'm going to throw this out there now because I'm never going to do anything with the idea, but with all the reboots and stuff, I legitimately think somebody should do Small Wonder, redo Small Wonder, but do it as a sci-fi drama. This guy really creates this robot girl and has her living amongst the family.
Oh,
okay, we own that. No, we own that now because we need to work together on this.
Okay.
Because I wanted to do a Small Wonder reboot as well. Okay. So I'm putting a little copyright on this now.
Okay.
So what they did for The Fresh Prince.
Yes.
The Fresh Prince was a comedy, but now it's been rebooted as a serious show.
Yes, exactly.
So now would Vicky be a kid or would she be an adult Vicky?
It would be a kid. It would be the same premise of the show. This dad creates this robot girl, but it's it's hard, gritty drama where
set in the 2020s.
Yeah, set in present day, and she looks super realistic, and it's really believable. But then you get into government espionage and stuff like that, and they're trying to hide the fact that they have this robot living with them.
I sign off on this.
Yeah.
I like this idea.
Okay,
I'm in.
I like this. So we
things get
we claim it.
Yeah, didn't things get weird in the actual show Small Wonder because they were getting the third or fourth season and the girl was getting taller, so they had to had to say that they added elements to her arms to make her longer.
Which when they did that, and I was a kid when that show was on, I remember thinking, okay, that's actually a smart writing move to write that into the plot. Why didn't they also create a program that makes her voice sound more natural when she talks? and also, couldn't they buy her more than one outfit?
Right, because she had that same dress.
Well, robots are expensive. They save money on clothes by spending money on robots.
And then who's the little nosy neighbor girl? Ooh,
Harriet.
Harriet
Was that? And Edie McClurg played her mom.
We're all the same age. Yeah. We're about the same age. So Jason, you were the same. You were like high school age watching that. I couldn't tolerate that show.
I mean, it was just like because it was first run syndication was on in the week. I don't know that I was high school. I was probably middle school.
No.
I was in acting school. So I guess I'm a little older than you guys because I was in acting school when this.
Well, I mean, I just turned 50 last month. So
I'm 6 years older.
Okay.
And my friends and I used to watch Small Wonder stoned.
Okay, well, that makes sense.
That's how I watched the Jackee pilot the first time, by the way.
Okay. So the Boy Scout comes in because Sandra has been mugged.
Yeah, it sounds really disturbing.
It was
brutal mugging.
It was pretty fucking graphic.
They poured gasoline on her head.
They poured gasoline on her head and threw her in a trunk, and it's played for laughs.
Yeah,
and she's from. I know New York. They're trying to like make New York look so tough, but isn't the DC area kind of rough too?
Yeah. Even especially back then.
Yeah.
Especially back then when this was made.
Wasn't Marion Barry the mayor of DC
during
those years?
And this was made at the height of Marion Barry's reign. So she shows up and she's a little, she's a little worse for wear. And
I'd say so.
And so the tough talking neighbor is like, by the way, did you notice how this character always was chewing gum? Like every scene she chewed gum.
That's your thing.
That was a thing.
And so
New York attitude.
I mean, this was at the height of bad sitcom stereotypes. Right. This is where every sitcom your characters had to have some sort of stupid stereotype that made them instantly identifiable.
Right. So she was the tough talking wacky neighbor.
By the way, this show seemed about as New York as the Sahara Desert.
Oh yeah.
Right. So then Jackee. So then she deduces that Sandra is new in town. And so after knowing her for 2 seconds, she's like, so Sandra tells her that, her job didn't go through. So she's like, you want a job? I can get you a job. As the assistant at, what was it called? The Theme something.
Oh, God, I forget what it was called.
I did write it down. Is Sensation Health and Fitness?
Yeah, Sensation.
So it was a fitness club / nail salon.
Right. What the hell?
By the way, okay, so I'm talking about this and there's someone else in the room and I'm like, okay, it's a podcast. Cause I'm sure that this person's wondering, what the hell is he talking about?
It's like a live show.
So yes, it was.
We watched it. We don't know what the hell we're talking about.
That's true.
And so she was going to be the assistant manager. And so at first Sandra didn't want to do it, but then she's like, well, there's a lot of men. And Sandra was like, ugh. And that was all she needed.
She's thirsty.
And we should point out in this moment, because we'll come back to it later in the episode, but this neighbor / new friend, Stephanie, is telling Sandra that the job's up for grabs because Stephanie is going to be moving away with her boyfriend.
Yes, she's leaving New York.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So Sandra is going to be taking this woman's job, and that is never addressed at the end of the episode.
No.
Because that's right, because Stephanie's like, I'll put in a good word for you since it's my job. Yeah. So then they go. So the next scene, they go to the gym. It's very 80s. Yeah. I was thrown way back into the 1980s looking at this gym.
Yeah, like neon signs and like very bright, like that very 80s like mall sort of furniture that you would see. Very think like the over our heads set on Facts of Life, like that 80s.
Right. You know, a lot of neon, a lot of like spandex, a lot of neon exercise,
And
like very like jazzercise.
The biggest hair. Everyone had huge 80s hair.
Huge 80s hair, jazzercise outfits.
When you say over our heads, was that the shop that they had before Edna's Edibles?
It was after
Yes.
Edna's Edibles. It was after Edna's Edibles burned down and they opened the novelty like Spencer's Gifts like store.
I thought it was the other way around.
And this is before Mrs. Garrett left and she was replaced with Beverly Ann, right?
Correct.
And then when Beverly Ann was there, it was
Leachman?
over our heads.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so the show went, they were, first season, they were living in the dorm. And then the next few seasons, they were living in the cafeteria in that room there. And then when they graduated, then they were living with Mrs. Garrett at Edna's Edibles above there. And then that burned down, and then they were living above over our heads.
Right. And then
George
Clooney. George Clooney was on the show. And then
During the
Mrs.
over our
Garrett
head
left.
seasons, yes.
Then Mrs. Garrett left and Beverly Ann showed up and the show kept on going.
Yeah.
Until they were well into adulthood.
I remember at that time there was a TV critic that wrote of Cloris Leachman from Last Picture Show to Worst Television Show.
And then there was going to originally when Facts of Life ended, there was going to be a spinoff where they made Eastland co-ed, because remember Seth Green was on the last episode.
Yep.
And so they were going to make Eastland co-ed and Blair was going to be the headmaster or headmistress.
Yep.
But the pilot, it never saw the light of day. Because they were probably like, okay, we did Jackee spinning off from 227 and look what happened then. So
well, they
they
try this with a lot of shows. It's called a planted spin-off, where basically you write an episode of your currently airing series, and you either take one of your current characters or like a totally outside character, and you make that spin-off pilot as one of the regular episodes of the other show. It's like a budgetary move. And then sometimes they pick it up, and sometimes they don't.
Right, which I would have watched that Facts of Life spinoff.
I think Facts of Life had its run.
That's true. And then 2D went on to Living Single. Oh, so anyway, okay, so Sandra is filling out her application and getting ready to eat a candy bar. And we find out that she has like no work experience, which is weird because on 227, Sandra had a job, and she worked in an office because they would always talk about it. Because she'd always call in sick and go shopping.
While she's eating that chocolate bar, there's a woman, a very fit woman.
Yes.
Walks up and Sandra's very upset. Sandra's kind of intimidated. She doesn't eat her chocolate bar. That's the woman I'm talking about. She went into her career took a turn after this TV pilot.
And she went into porn.
I could tell you what she did. Yes. So she was a Playboy centerfold before that.
Oh.
And her name is Terry Weigel. She was in such movies as The Cougar Club 4 and 2. She was in Masturbation Nation 5.
Oh, there you go.
That is the best one.
What's that?
That's the best of them.
Right.
Probably, yeah. Well, you didn't see 6.
Oh, they phoned it in 4, though. They really did.
Big Tits at Work, which is listed as a TV series. It's a TV series. I don't know where. This must be on. I guess it's on HBO Max. She was in one episode of Big Tits at Work. The episode is called "Bent Overtime Hours." So
there you go.
Yeah, and this was in 2013. She was doing this. So
should we watch those for the podcast? Should we watch those movies for the podcast too?
Right.
You want me to try to get her on?
Get her on. Get her as a guest. Get her as a guest for this podcast.
You really want to do that?
I'm totally serious.
No.
Yes. Kurt Fitzpatrick, if you could get her as a guest on this podcast,
let's get her. Let's get her on, but then we'll have to have the Pornhub math guy on again with her.
Yes, we'll have him back.
Yeah, we have a lot of porn people on. What are we becoming here?
Our podcast is taking a turn.
We'll have him back.
If you guys want me to, I'll give it an hour. It sounds like Les is really into it. Yeah?
Yes.
All right.
Yes. And the Pornhub guy was a good guest, actually. Yes.
Lord.
I'm just looking to see if there's anything else we could talk about, because she was on the Jackee show, so we could talk about that. She was in Return of the Killer Tomatoes. She was in some kind of legit stuff. Miami Vice. She had some little. Looks like she was an extra in that. Yeah, I mean, this is First and 10. She had a couple. She was also in Predator 2. She had a run on. She had a recurring role in Married with Children, and then she went into all these other movies, including Auntie Lee's Meat Pies. She was in that.
Like, honestly, do we? Maybe she does. Maybe she's got no shame about it. But she's got to be in her 60s. Do you think a woman in her 60s is going to want to talk to 3 strange men she doesn't know about her adult film career?
But then maybe she'll be like, "I still got it."
Maybe. I don't know.
She was born in 1962. She would be 60. Yes. Yeah.
Yes. So maybe she's, it's worth the shot. It couldn't hurt.
I mean, our guest list is really happening. It says, though she started her porno career at a relatively older age compared to most women in the industry, and then it says 29. 29 is the age. Wow. The former Playboy Playmate quickly became one of the most famous hardcore stars in porn history.
Wow. Okay. Wow, that's notable. Okay.
Yeah.
So we want notable guests.
Yes.
All right. Well.
Yeah.
I know I got my work cut out for me. Okay.
Oh, so speaking of notable, so Jackee's Sandra's filling out her application, and this guy walks by with a notable head of hair. This was like the big blonde 80s hair, and I guess he was supposed to be the hunk of the show, Sven.
Yeah.
Kato Kalin.
He looked like a better looking Kato Kalin.
Yes, Sven was cute. Sven was very cute.
But that hair, I couldn't get over that hair. Like that. Nope.
And his accent was there sometimes and sometimes not.
Yeah, he didn't need to have an accent.
Yeah, and Sandra was instantly smitten.
Oh yeah, himbo.
And
she was stigmatized by his juicing skills.
Yes, she was.
This used to happen at shows. I should remember this, but they would just like kind of throw in a himbo for like
for comic relief, eye candy and comic relief.
I mean, they throw in himbos and bimbos for the same reason. You're trying to get eyeballs on the show, so you're like, let's have something pretty to look at.
So I didn't get how this other guy fit. So this guy walks in, and he looks like a pimp. Like, seriously.
I thought he was the owner.
But
he's not.
No, he's like a sales guy. It took some explaining because they were trying to, like, have a younger, hipper guy on the show, I think, to balance out the fact that Sandra was the lead. And they were trying to make him a bit of a player and a bit of a schemer. So he's sort of if this show were to go to series, he'd be a bit of a match for Sandra in terms of like their personalities.
So he was like a ladies' man, and it was apparent that he would go for the older ladies that would come in to get their nails done. Because remember, it was a nail salon and a gym.
Yeah, he was like the sales guy for the nail salon and would go after these old ladies because they all had like a ton of money and they would like buy him shit.
Right. And because he had a Rolex.
Yeah. But he also, like, he's wearing a Rolex, but he's dressing at Chess King.
Right. And the hair was just dynamic.
Yeah. His name was Zoltan, or that's the name he went by.
Zoltan.
His name was Zoltan, but
Chess King.
Yeah. But his actor name was Bernard, but
Bernard, yeah.
B-Nard. Yeah, so what happened to Bernard?
Do you get the Chess King reference, Kurt?
The what?
Chess King. You guys know Chess King?
Is it still around?
I used to wear Chess King.
No,
it is no longer.
I remember Chess King being around when I was in high school. It was at the Deptford Mall.
So what happened to
New Jersey? Let me take a look here. I did look him up. He had a bit of a run, not quite as much of a run as some of these other people.
He's very attractive.
So he wasn't in Big Tits at Work?
No, he kind of did his own stuff. He directed a couple things. Looking at Bernard Lewis. He had a legit career, but kind of short. So he did. Last thing he did was in 2017. That's not bad. He has something announced, but he kind of played. So he played Officer 2 in Father Figures. I don't know what that is. So it looks like he played like very small parts. He only has about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, yeah, he has like 12 credits. Looks like
he's very attractive.
He's been in things over the years. He had a credit in like 89. The next thing was 95. Well, no, that doesn't make sense. And then 2000. Then it goes 2009. 2000. The next was 2017. So who knows?
So that's
some stuff. Directed some stuff. Produced some stuff.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Oh, good for him. So then Sandra gets called in for her interview, and I wrote in big letters Harvey because it was Harvey from Cagney and Lacey. And so he was the boss. He looked very beleaguered, very put upon, kind of like he had like a Lou Grant vibe.
I wrote down that this was like clearly a bad ripoff of the Lou Grant Mary Richards interview scene from that show's pilot.
Yeah, he was very just, just like exhausted for no reason. And so when she comes into his office, his office is a mess, but she finds a pair of boxing gloves. So he starts to interview her. He realizes that she has no experience. He's not going to hire her. But then Sandra starts talking about boxing. And that...
She's reading out of a magazine.
Yes. And so that... He was so entranced by her boxing knowledge that he said, okay, I'll give you a trial run. Boom. So Sandra is now in. So it has been established. She's working at the salon. She's getting a trial run. So then hijinks were supposed to revolve around that.
Yeah.
So then we run into Stephanie again, and she's chomping gum, and Sandra's like, guess what, Stephanie? I got a trial run. And we meet Stephanie's boyfriend.
The one she's going to move away with. He's like doing some wiring at the health club / nail salon / juicery.
Yes.
Roger.
So then he's like doing some repairs. And there's a woman who's getting her nails done that all of a sudden starts giving stock tips. And so what he does is he eavesdrops on the stock tips and then goes and calls his girlfriend on the side and gives her the stock tips.
Yeah.
Now I'm curious about how illegal something like that is. If you overhear, well, if you overhear something,
I think it would be illegal if the woman getting her nails done specifically told somebody, hey, move my money because this is going to benefit me because I know that this thing is going on with my husband's company. But so, this guy overhearing, like, this guy doesn't really technically have access to insider info. He's just overhearing something at a nail salon.
Right.
I don't know if the government views it that way, but I think that it's very much a grayer area for him than it is for her.
Right. I would say. And also, how could they really prove he's doing inside trading? That's a little difficult.
Yeah. So then, meanwhile, the pimp, because I kept on writing the pimp-looking guy, Sandra shot him down. And so he was trying to get her, and she was like, I'm not even having this. And so he was talking to Sven and asking Sven, what am I doing wrong? Why doesn't Sandra like me? And so then we cut to Sandra, and she's got to clean her boss's office, or she's got to clean the stock room or something.
No, she's like redoing his files.
Okay, so she's redoing the files. I guess the office is like a mess. And so while she's doing her files, the boyfriend goes in and makes a phone call to his girl on the side, and Sandra overhears it. And so Sandra, being the good friend that she is, even though they've known each other for like a day, Sandra goes and tells Stephanie, your boyfriend is cheating on you. And Stephanie gets mad, of course. Now, meanwhile, there's a surly receptionist, and she's just surly for no reason and doesn't take calls for no reason and doesn't pass the calls to other people for no reason.
Yeah. It's a running joke, and it's kind of a weak joke.
And this was a stock sitcom character that you had back then, the receptionist that couldn't be bothered to do their job. And I will tell you, there is somebody that did a much better job of it on a funnier show. Ellen DeGeneres was on a show called Open House, and she played this receptionist named Margot. And every time she was on screen, she was hilarious.
So it wasn't like Miss DePesto, because remember Miss DePesto and Moonlighting was like Miss DePesto was a happy receptionist.
Well, she
like,
was good at her job too.
Miss DePesto loved her job.
Yeah, and she was good at it.
Miss DePesto was my favorite person on that show.
I loved her.
I seriously would watch it for Miss DePesto.
I revisited the first episode of Moonlighting, and it really is a good show. It holds up.
Oh, that's good to know.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because I was wondering.
Well, and also I forgot how funny Sybil Shepherd is. Like, she is crackerjack.
Wow, that's good to know that it aged well.
Yeah.
So then, for some reason, so the receptionist would pretend, for example, like she put someone on hold and would sing music. She sang Muskrat Love to somebody.
Okay. That sounds funny the way you describe it, but it wasn't funny when I was watching.
No, the execution was terrible. And also, like, if she's going to be surly receptionist that doesn't want to do her job, she's then putting effort into not doing her job by singing a song.
The problem is the show is kind of dragging along as it is, so you don't need a character who's purposely dragging things.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah, that character was filler.
Yeah.
So then we see this woman, her back is turned to us, and so I knew that it was going to be a cameo. And my first thought was, oh my God, it's going to be Mary. And so she's getting her nails done, and she's giving stock tips again. So the boyfriend once again goes to call his woman on the side, and didn't Sandra confront him?
Sandra
first?
Confronts him, and he basically admits it out loud.
In
and
front of
as he's
everybody
admitting
in a public
it,
place.
as he's admitting it, Stephanie walks up.
Right, and then he.
Did she do the right thing? Because I remember dear Abby, years ago said that if you find out your friend is being cheated on, you should not say anything.
Right. But, and especially since Sandra didn't really know her. They literally known each other for a day.
Yeah.
But this woman also helped Sandra in a time of need and got her a job. So Sandra's trying to be a solid friend and actually repay the favor.
So the guy literally is just like, well, okay, I was caught. See ya. Yeah. That was it.
Yeah. He's done. One and done.
You got me. Bye. And just leave.
I didn't look him up on the IMDb. Let me see.
And I forget his name. And so then Stephanie is very upset. Yeah. Stephanie is very upset. And then Sandra goes into a monologue about how you need to stick this out and don't quit. And I'm going to be here and we're friends. You go, girl. Everything.
Yeah, this was the moment in the pilot where they're they got some network notes that said, we need to make Sandra more of an anchor of the show. So she's got to be the lead, not the wacky side character. So we've got to make her more sympathetic. And she's going to be the one leading the charge here.
Right. So she gives her monologue, right? And so then Stephanie then says, okay, you're right, Sandra. I'm going to stay. So now we never know. So now do they both have the same job?
Right. That's what I want to know. Right. How is she able to stay now?
Right. So then the woman still has her back turned to us. Right. And so I'm thinking it's going to be Mary. But then she turns around and I was like, oh my God, it's Pearl.
It's Helen Martin.
I used to love Pearl.
Which makes no sense. Makes no sense that she's there. Because
Pearl is because 227 was set in Washington, D.C., and this is in New York.
Right.
But Pearl is there.
So we're supposed to believe that Sandra very quickly got her elderly friend to make her way up to New York City so they could catch this D-bag in a lie.
Right. Now, Pearl looks great. Pearl was very
she just had her nails done.
Lovely hat. She had her nails. Her nails were fabulous.
So she had a scheme.
Yeah.
Yes.
I just thought Pearl was randomly there. I wasn't.
And remember, like this was only 24 hours after she got there. Yeah. So this is like, she was quick. So and DC, between New York and DC is like is it a 4-hour drive or a 3-hour?
I think it's like 4 hours.
You can do the train. You can do the train in like 3 or 4, but it's still like it's not a super quick trip. Yeah. To like come up to do your friend a favor. Yeah.
Should she be driving? Maybe she took a bus.
So she probably took a bus.
She probably took the train.
Unless
this is quite an argument.
Unless Sandra sprung for a flight. Because a flight would only be like an hour or a half hour.
Sandra can't afford a flight. She just started a new job at a health club. She doesn't have money for a flight.
Well, it was the 80s. It was the 80s, so things were cheaper back then.
She's got to go through security, all that kind of stuff. But it's just too much hassle.
No, this was in the 80s. This was before security.
They've had security at airports since before 9/11, Les. But that's not a new concept in air travel.
But remember, this was back when if your friend flew in, you could go and meet them at the gate.
That's true.
Yeah, you could.
Remember, there's a plane that you could actually, what was it, People's Express or one of the planes where you could actually buy your ticket on the plane?
No, I don't remember that.
Yes, I'm totally serious.
Oh, is that when they had those, what were they called? Commuter flights?
Yeah.
Commuters.
You buy your ticket on the plane. Yeah.
People be like bunched up in a plane like they're sitting on a bus.
Yeah. So so Pearl was there. So then so everybody was happy. Weird. And so then Sandra was like, okay, let's go to breakfast. And then, of course, it was the trope. Then Stephanie's like, I'll buy. And Sandra's like, no. And that was the end.
Well, I bet Pearl's going to get some money, eat some free food, too. Because I remember an episode of 227 where their daughter was working at McDonald's and they all went there. And so the daughter was going to pay for everybody's food. So they all try to order something, small. But then Pearl got up and she said, I'll have a Big Mac and a milkshake and an apple pie.
Well, she made Academy Award winner Regina King pay for all that food.
Right.
Regina, yeah. Well, she now she can afford it.
Well, you know what? I mean, Pearl came all the way from DC, and my phone is saying your battery is low and your phone might hang up soon. And this is perfect timing because we're at the end of the episode.
Yeah, but I just wanted to say the guy who played Roger, his name is Frank Liu. So he had a pretty good run. His last credit was in '99, but he was on Baywatch and Jag, Silk Stockings, All My Children, Walker, Texas Ranger, Sisters. Oh man, it's the Empty Nest, Facts of Life. He was in 2 episodes of that. He was also in the Doctors, 90 episodes of the Doctors.
Oh.
Remember that show?
Well, that's good.
The spinoff of Nurse. No, I'm thinking Nurses. Never mind. Okay.
No, the Doctors was the show that Al Baldwin was on, I think, years ago. Soap opera.
Well, anyway, we finished this just in time. My phone is going to die. So if you want to get a hold of me, you can find me at my website, leskirkendallbarrett.com, or you can find me on Facebook at Les Kirkendall Barrett. And if you happen to be in the Halifax area, I have 3 more performances of my show, The Real Black Swan, Confessions of America's Next Black Drag Queen at the Halifax Fringe Festival. And you could get that at www.halifaxfringe.ca. Jason.
If you want to rate or review us, please do so. Leave us 5 stars on whatever podcasting platform you listen to us on. Helps other people find us. You can find all of us on Instagram and Facebook at Lifetime of Hallmark Podcast. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Big Shot Jason. And I have a plug coming up. I'm just going to tease that here. I'm going to be. It looks very good that I'm going to be on another podcast, a pretty big one too. I can't wait to tell you about it. But
make sure you mention us.
I will. Don't you worry. Kurt, how can we find you?
Oh, so I had to cancel my Indianapolis shows, but I am going to be performing in Philadelphia in the Philadelphia Fringe Festival.
Oh, nice.
So you can go to KurtFitzpatrick.com. It's Kurt, K-U-R-T, and has all the information. I'm going to perform in Philamoka in Philly Fringe on Friday, September 16th and Friday, September 23rd.
Nice. And remember, we are always open to listener suggestions. So if you have a Hallmark movie or Lifetime movie that you want to watch, let us know. Christmas season is just around the corner because remember, Christmas movies start in October. And I like to call it our tax season. So if you have any suggestions, please throw them our way and we will watch. And I think that's it.
I think it is too.
All right. So until next episode, bye.
Bye.
Bye.